Do you ever wish someone would draw you a map and give you the directions to the career of your dreams? If so, consider this podcast your GPS to a career where you feel strong, fulfilled, and passionate about your work, day in and day out. On this show, I am sharing the tools to help you advocate for your strengths, discover your passions, and learn from folks who transformed their careers for the better. My name is Joyel Crawford, your fairy god mentor, and with my 18 years of experience in HR at a Fortune 50 company and 20 years of coaching and mentoring top leaders, I am thrilled to be your guide on this career journey. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to Career View Mirror. I am your host and your fairy god mentor, Joyel Crawford, and I am here today to help people look at their career past so that you can pave your career future. And I have a question for everybody out there today. Do you think CPAs are boring? Well, you're going to have to think again because today's guest, I am excited to introduce you to someone who helps businesses make smarter financial decisions and empowers entrepreneurs like me to grow with clarity and confidence. He is a seasoned CPA, business advisor, and founder of DiBella CPA. Please welcome Jim DiBella to the show. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
I'm so glad to have
Really
you
excited.
on. And full disclosure, everybody, he's my CPA. So this is going to be an amazing conversation. He's an amazing person to work with. And I have major financial, I don't know if anyone else out there has this, entrepreneurs or even just people with their personal taxes. I have major tax anxiety. Never had a smooth experience when I wasn't making any money. I never really cared about my taxes, but it was only until I started entering the work world and having to get my taxes done. Our family had their own little family tax person, accountant, and then when I was on my own, I was kind of saddled with trying to find somebody to help me manage my taxes. And I've been through the block, and the one of the best things that I love working with Jim is that he helped me feel confident and calm and get some clarity about the whole process. You know, a lot of times it's like you're exposing your financial underwear to the world. And as an entrepreneur and growing my business, you know, there have been some high years and then there have been some low years. And you really helped me find that clarity. So I'm really excited to have you on the podcast today to help our audience understand, first of all, like, how did you get into this profession? Like, where did this all come from? Did you just like hatch out of an egg with, you know, a calculator and a pencil and paper in your hand, or like what happened here? Tell me more.
I think I kind of did, honestly. I remember I always loved math. Like that's no doubt about it. I remember kindergarten, first grade, so, just being very intrigued by math. I was never a reader. I always had I didn't like to read. I wasn't really a presentation person.
Mm-hmm.
I was always very good at math, right from the get go. Algebra, still love algebra. It makes sense in my brain logically. I'm a Virgo, so I'm calculated. Maybe by nature.
Mm.
And yeah, like I enjoyed math. Like I actually enjoyed like doing puzzles and figuring things out. So really, was I born? Maybe it kind of a natural path for me to go.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember being in college in my second year, and it was time to pick a degree. And I don't think I am your typical accountant. I played, I was playing guitar. I was an athlete. I was in the punk rock music. I was a bit of a skater, but I remember when it was time to pick a direction to go in. I remember my dad told me when I was like in seventh grade that you should be an accountant, and it always kind of stuck with me. So I did. I enjoyed math. I decided to go with accounting, and that was it. 19 years old, I was, picked the accountant career path.
And it was simple, like it was just kind of like a simple decision, or were you kind of pushed
No,
because
no.
yeah.
It was a decision made out of necessity. I get, like, I had to make a decision.
Mhm.
And there's pressure. I mean, I'm just like, I'm 40, so this is, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. And at that time, I think college was pushed maybe even more so than it is today. Like, you need
Yeah.
to get a degree, you need a degree.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what you get a degree in, but you need a degree. Like, I
Got
think
to
I
get.
was like prime for that.
Mhm.
And it was like the time to pick a degree. And I was, and logically minded, I was like, I want a job,
Mhm.
I was passionate about a lot of things, like passionate about music. And I loved people. I loved helping people. I thought like psychology was cool.
Yeah.
But like at that time, I was like, it was a conservative. It was a conservative pick on my part. But
Wow.
I can, yeah, yeah.
So you kind of picked the thing that was easy for you to do, but you were also interested in it as well.
I am a people person.
Mhm.
I enjoy people. I love my clients. I'm comfortable talking and learning about people, not just like numbers, but like about them as people.
Mhm.
Um, so it was kind of, so I guess that kind of goes into, I was bartending at the time. I mean, I was a bartender from, I mean, a server from like 16 to 20, and then I became a bartender. Uh, yeah, so I enjoyed it. I liked the service industry. I liked like making people feel good. I liked, communicating with them, and picked my accounting degree, or my accounting, to go to school for accounting. While I was bartending, one of my best clients, or one of my, not client, one of my best customers,
Mhm.
was a CPA. And I met him after I made the decision. So it was,
Okay.
he kind of solidified it. I was like, oh,
Nice.
and he was cool. He was a super cool guy. He had his own practice.
Mhm.
This was in Florida. I went to school down in Florida. His office was like a block away from the beach. He was a come and go. He was like the
Yeah.
neighborhood accountant. He knew everyone. He made it look cool, for sure. And I was like,
That's
all right, this is, I think I'm on the right path.
This is what I wanna do. Would
Yeah.
you say, do you still keep in touch with him? Is he a mentor of yours, or would you say?
100%. Yeah. Yeah. I still talk to him today. So this is 15, 15 years ago. So he's older now. He's still working.
Mhm.
He's still working, but he's on his last leg of working. Yeah, I talk to him tax season, maybe once or twice a week.
Wow,
Yeah, yeah,
wow.
yeah.
That's
Hmm.
crazy, that's great.
Hmm.
So that leads me to, like, then, and thank you for sharing that background. That
Yeah,
leads me to, you went from slinging drinks to slaying taxes.
yeah,
So I'm like, "Ooh." So
yeah,
when then, like, what does that look like? Like, we have this image, or at least a lot of us have this image in our head of, like, accountants being, like, dry and serious, and,
yeah,
you're a bartender, you're
yeah.
playing music in a punk band. Like, what does a typical day look like for you, for our audience to understand what accounting could look like, instead of what we think it looks like?
I mean, so that mentor, he was loud. He would on the phone, and he would joke around. And he was like a life of a party kind of
Mhm,
guy.
mhm.
And it was open door policy. People would come and go. People would just show up. And I worked for him. I did end up work. So
Oh, wow, okay.
yeah, yeah. So I guess my senior year, I started to intern for him, and then
Mhm.
I worked for him probably 2 to 3 years out of college, because I had to go back. I didn't get a master's. You don't need your master's to become a CPA, but
Okay.
you do need an extensive amount of graduate level courses.
Okay.
So you have to keep going to school. You need 150 credits. You get 120 to graduate, and you need all these advanced accounting courses. So I was continuing going to school, and I was working for him. And yeah, he was loud. He would wear like big, like bright shirts, and uh, he was great. He was great. And then that was it. And I remember when I was working there, I was like, I want this. I want this very free flowing, type of atmosphere where people can ask questions and feel
Mhm.
comfortable. and ask the things that they, I guess they're afraid to ask when they have
Yeah.
other accountants. They
Yeah.
don't want to look bad. They don't want to look like they don't know what they're doing.
Right.
They don't want to, so I wanted people to feel good. I wanted people to feel comfortable. I wanted people to feel not ashamed to reach out and ask all the things people want to ask about accounting and taxes. So.
Mhm. And what kind of lessons did he teach you as he was mentoring you? Like, what are some big lessons that you think you can remember as you were learning how to run your own business eventually?
He definitely taught me to talk to people. So I was bartending, so I could talk to people,
Mhm.
but he would give me, a stack of tax returns to do. And, I'd be entering information, and I would come to a point where, I needed another piece of information, right? I know what I needed. It made sense in my head. And I'd be like, hey, I need this. He's like, call the customer, tell them who you are, call the customer or the client,
Mhm.
explain what you need, explain, and I learned to explain things in a better way
Mm.
than, just like sending a checklist or, it was very educational for me to be able to put in layman's terms what
Mhm.
I needed and why I needed it. And it's just like that. He taught me to just reach out, call the person.
Yeah, so that was like a huge lesson in connection. Like there's that human aspect to the financial piece,
Yeah.
which can be so cold,
Yeah.
and stressful. Like I said, I get stressed out all the time,
Yeah.
and left your office feeling so relaxed. I mean, like, does your typical day look like a lot of? I mean, during the tax season, does a typical day look like a lot of calling and catching up, or like, can you walk us through like what a typical day looks like?
Well, for sure. There's two different days.
Oh,
There's a tax season day,
uh-huh.
which is very, very regimented and disciplined. And then there's days like today where it's definitely more free flowing, answering, servicing clients, different needs of all types of things.
Hmm.
But yeah, during tax season, my day, typically, I usually start the same way. I'm logging on, right? I'm sending out calendar invites and Zoom meetings for the next day. I always send that stuff out a day before. Um, right after that, I'm checking my calendar for the things I have today. During tax season, it could be 5, 6, 7 meetings for that day,
Wow.
which hopefully I have prepped and ready from
Hmm.
either the day or the day before that. So I'm reviewing all the tax returns that I'm going to be meeting with people about for that day. Um, and then really during tax season, it's meetings all day long. So, and I take pride in that, that everything is prepped, everything is ready to go. All the
Hmm.
conversations hopefully have been made before we get to that tax return meeting.
Hmm.
During the tax return meeting, we're going over the return, we're filling in the blanks, we're answering the questions that I need answered that I can do on the spot, and hopefully putting a bow on the tax return during that meeting, and sending it out for signatures and to be filed. So
Okay.
that's tax season's very disciplined, and
Hmm.
I'm usually working until 9, 10 o'clock at night, and doing it all over again the next day.
Hmm.
Uh, Out of tax season is somewhat similar. Out of tax season is like 2 to 3 meetings a day. Uh,
Okay. Okay.
and
Slowing
a
down.
lot of emails. Yeah, a lot of emails, a lot of follow up, a lot of specific cases, whether it's stuff going on with the state or your locality. Uh, a lot of new clients. This is when I kind of build my book of businesses during the off season.
Okay.
There's marketing, fielding new clients, having those intro phone calls, finding out about their business. That's the hardest part is really learn. Once you've done a business's tax or a person's tax returns for a few years,
Hmm.
you know them pretty well,
Yeah.
and you get updated, on the regular whenever you talk to the person.
Hmm.
Bring on a new client it's a lot of detective work, a
Yeah.
lot of learning and a lot of research and finding out how they've been doing things a certain way, why they've been doing things a certain way. Because believe it or not, it's CPAs or accountants in general. You There is a code. I compare it to a lawyer, right? And a
Okay.
lawyer has this code, right, to follow as far as like rules.
Hmm.
but there was a lot of gray and painting and artist, there's a different way to be interpreted, right? There's probably 5 or 6 ways to do certain things, and there's what's right for you, what's right for how you run your business.
Right.
So it's finding that stuff out, and you have to be. I try to be. I ask the right questions, learn about them. But it's a lot of that during the off season. A lot of making sure people are set up correctly, and that we can work together. If they understand what I need, I understand what they need, so we can kind of be as flowing as possible. The first year is always like the transition year.
How do you, I mean, and it's nice that you do that, because that's kind of the process that we worked through when we first met, because my husband was working with you with his business taxes, and that's a whole nother ball of wax that you work on with him. And so then we filed jointly. And so he was like, well, we're working with Jim. And I was like, I don't know who Jim is. And so we had this get to know you conversation. And I think it was such an easy conversation to go through. What do you think? What kind of advice can you give to like an entrepreneur, or even people who are doing their own taxes, to help alleviate some of the anxiety that we have around getting our stuff together to share with someone like you?
I think first off is it's not easy. It's not easy doing the back end of your business. And I tell people that when initially conversation, if someone's starting a new business, like revenue and growing a business and growing a following, that really is the hard part. And that's really your job. Like that is so, so important. Once you get to a point where that's happening and you have to move on to the back end of the business, and if you're doing it yourself, that's super, super daunting. Like that you're like, oh my gosh, I created this thing, but I have no idea how to be compliant, file taxes, what taxes to file, making sure that I'm set up correctly. And the internet does not do a good job.
No.
Like Googling like how to form an LLC is just, you're opening up a can of worms. I think, in my opinion, you're going to have add. Give us your money once a year. We'll make sure your LLC is good. And you really have no idea what's going on.
Right.
Like you're just, and you're paying them for, you're not sure, but you have an active LLC. Hopefully and it's set up correctly. I know a lot of CPAs, I know a lot of accounting firms, and I wish people would just come to me, but it's like, I wish like I could explain and add that value of like what you're actually creating and how to kind of keep it rolling. So yeah, I would, if you're setting up a business, you're self-employed in any way, having a CPA in your life is super, super important, right? I would reach out to a local one that you can meet with, and I would reach out after tax season, right after tax season.
That's the key. Reach out to them. What is tax season exactly? When does it start? When's the danger zone?
January 15th. Usually on January 15th. January 15th to April 15th is not the time to find a new accountant. That's the blackout time. Do not go searching for an accountant during January 15th to April 15th. To be honest, now is the perfect time. Now is the time to reach out to a local CPA and just let them know where you're at. Let him or her know, like, this is where I'm at. I don't know what I'm doing. I started a new business and it's starting to be profitable. Like, set me up for success. Is there a threshold? I remember talking to somebody in the very beginnings of my business, and there was a certain amount of money that you had to make before you started filing taxes. What is that true? Is there like a certain amount of money that you need to make so that you're filing taxes? No, not really. So, I mean, age wise, like, yes, if you're in your teens, there's some exceptions. But if you're making money, so technically, by the book, Johnny down the street who's cutting lawns and gets $20 a lawn, and he's technically supposed to report that on his tax return. Right. If it's over a certain threshold, just like $600. If it's over $600 and over $600 profitable, you should be reporting that on a tax return because it's income and you should pay income tax on it. So there's minor exceptions, but not really. Yeah.
If you're making money, at least $600.
Yes.
Because
So
you
I
know,
mean, just like that. So it depends, right? So
yeah.
your standard deduction, right, is last year was $14,600. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
If someone had a W-2 job, right, they're working for the local, someplace local, they get a W-2, and the W-2 is for $13,000, which is underneath the threshold, right?
Hmm.
Technically, they don't have to file a tax return, but I would recommend it because it's nothing. They're not supposed to file a tax return. They don't owe any tax, so they're under that 14,600. So if they were
Right.
paying taxes throughout the year, they would get a refund
They
for
would
the
get a refund.
taxes. Yeah.
So you're letting money, just leaving money on the table if you're not filing for your with your W-2 job.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's great. So what is I know that you talked about all the different things that you were interested in. You were interested in music, and you were interested in bartending and connecting with
Yeah.
people and everything else, and numbers. You love math.
I do.
But what's your why? Like, what gets you out of bed in the morning?
I mean, the business was huge for me. Starting my own firm. So I did work in public accounting. So I worked in public accounting for almost 9 years.
Okay.
So I was with a big four accounting firm.
Mm.
Rose up through the ranks, and I started in Florida, moved up to Philadelphia, was where I'm originally from, and pandemic hit. So hey, I'm definitely a product of the pandemic.
Right.
Where promotional channels and raises were kind of put on hold. And I was told that I would have to make a lateral move or possibly relocate it if I wanted to get where I wanted to get to,
Mhm.
which I didn't want to. My family's here, and I want to stay in this South Jersey area. So it was a scenario where I put my 2 weeks in, you
Mhm.
know, and really had nothing except my savings to kind of fall back on. And I was like, I'm going to start a business. Like, I'm going to start an accounting business. And the first year, I didn't make any money. I barely paid my bills, and that's all I could afford.
I understand that.
Second year was a lot of that also.
Mhm.
I moved out of the city. I moved back to my parents for a year, and
Whoa.
that was my second year.
Ooh, that's
Uh,
humbling. That's humbling.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure, for sure. And I knew what I was doing. I knew it was like this was the deal. Oh, and it's such an ego punch, right? Because you're
Mhm.
talking to friends, you're talking to family. Oh, what are you doing? As I just moved back home, my parents. People are, are you okay? Is everything going on? I was like, I'm really want to give my all to this thing. I want to start a business. So that was in 2020, and now being, this is my fifth. That just passed my fifth tax season. And yeah, I mean, I remember that. I remember that. And this is my baby. Like, this business is my baby. My clients are my baby. I have financial freedom. I have my own business. This is stuff that I didn't think was possible.
That's fantastic. So your
Yeah. Yeah.
business is your why. Like, it's just
Oh, for sure.
it keeps you going. So, I mean, like, do you do anything for fun? Like,
Oh, yeah.
do you still play in a band, or like what's
No,
going
no,
on?
no play. I don't play that much anymore. I play a couple times a week. I'll pick up the guitar. I mean, I see music once a week. Really. I mean, I'll go to a concert probably once
All
a
right.
week.
That's great.
I'm a big yogi. I practice yoga 6 out of 7 days a week. Very, very health conscious now.
Mm.
Um, I mean, I'm married. I'm married. We hope. I mean, I don't know. A baby's on the way right now, so that's even a bigger why. Yeah. So big good things are happening. Good things
Huge.
are happening. Yeah, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, that's so
So
exciting.
yeah, I'm busy. I don't stop. Hmm.
Yeah, those are some major whys. Those are some major whys.
Hmm.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
fantastic. Let's see. What is another question that I love to ask this question a
Hmm.
lot, but there are some myths out there
Hmm.
about accountants. A lot of times in corporate settings, you were working with one of the bigger firms there doing the public accounting, or private. I don't know what the term is, but
Yeah.
public accounting. Um, when you were doing that, a lot of times people see finance, and I always saw finance as like the popo, like auditing, and kind of
Mhm.
like the mean person coming in there. What's one myth that you'd like to break
Y-
about? about
You just nailed it on the head right there. And people, they think, I'm an accountant. I work for the IRS. They think they work for a government agency. People think that I am the one who is trying to find things and report. I'm a public accountant. Yeah, I'm a certified public accountant. That means I work for the people and I work for the public. I am the representation of the people to the IRS and governmental agencies. Yes. So it is my job, and I tell all my clients that it is my job to ensure that we are not getting in trouble and we do not get audited. There's always a chance, and can never be guaranteed. But I take great pride in submitting a correct tax return. We're not overpaying in taxes, and we're doing it the right way.
Yeah. And I remember you saying no surprises.
Two rules. Yeah.
Just bring me all the things that you just tell it all. Tell me the truth.
Yeah.
Don't have any surprises. So there's none on the back end there.
Yep. We're going to file correctly and no surprises. I don't want any surprises come tax season.
That's right. Right.
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. So one of my favorite questions to ask my guests every single time is, what's one piece of career advice that you would give to the young Jim? Like to little Jimmy?
That's super. So I would, the one thing would be, trust your gut, trust your intuition, right? Those things that, the thoughts and the ideas and the goals I had as a kid to dream big and to, you can do anything you want to do, right? Like, believe that. But that is so true. Believe that you can do whatever you want to do. I definitely went to corporate America thinking this is what everyone else is doing. My dad, did you get a job? Yeah, I got a job, Dad. I got it. You do it? How long? Yep, I'm working here and I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing. Which benefited me very much, and I think I had to go through that to get to where I am today. But over the last 5 years, I've said many times to myself, I should have did this 15 years ago. I should have did this early.
I should have done it earlier.
I've learned more in the last 5 years than I did probably the last 20. Being your own boss.
I often like to think, I'm like, if somebody told me 10, 15 years ago that I would be doing this, even just hosting a podcast, interviewing you, I would tell them they were out of their minds, but I wouldn't have any other way. I can't believe life without doing this. It's just amazing. But I don't know if I would have been in the place to have been able to do this. I was so reliant on that corporate paycheck. And I'm not saying anything, no shade to people who are working.
No, none.
It's just sometimes sometimes you outgrow where you are. And so I'm glad that I learned what I learned. Like you said, you learned what you learned. But I don't know if I would have been ready, I don't know if I had the skills or the confidence in my skills to go out and do it, to believe in your dreams, to believe in what you're dreaming and actually seeing it manifested and coming true.
It takes guts.
It does.
Guts.
It definitely does. It definitely does. Do you have any mantras to keep you lifted? If you have one of those down days when the phone's not ringing as much, or
business good and businesses. The phone doesn't stop ringing. Honestly, trusting is super important. I'm conservative of heart. I really am. I get. Confidence is not my first. I don't fall into confidence very easily. I'm constantly kind of waiting for the shoe to drop, or the baby's on the way. I am totally trust the process, trust that everything's going to work out, and go back to that. I really do. I go back to that every day.
Nice.
I can worry. I can spend so much time worrying.
You can. And it's a waste of time and energy, right?
Is.
You waste the same amount of energy. Actually, I think you waste twice as much energy worrying as you do trusting. Trusting in the process. What a perfect way to put a pin in this. This is so amazing. Can you believe that we're at time? It just went.
I know. I could talk. I can keep going.
I love talking with you.
Yeah.
We had such great conversations in the past, and I do owe you a catch-up call to check in with you. But
We should do a check-in.
Yeah, we should.
I got to see
It's,
the numbers. I could take a look right now if I wanted to, but we should do that together.
no, we don't need to share that with the audience,
No,
though.
no, no, no. Mm-hmm.
But no, Jim, thank you so much for sharing all of your insights and your story with us, and some tips on what we can do to kind of better prepare for these kinds of conversations. Any other pieces of advice that you'd like to add for our audience before we let you go, before we take off?
I mean, professionally, I
Yeah.
wish I had a CPA in my life in college. I wish I had one earlier, right? Honestly, I do. I wish I had someone like me in my life at an earlier time. Younger and younger clients are reaching out, and I applaud them for it. I started a car wash. I started this. I started that. I want to start a relationship with you. By all means, is
Awesome.
a beautiful, beautiful thing. Taxes aren't taught in school.
No,
I don't know if they ever will be. They totally should be. I'm speaking at a school on Friday, which I'm super excited about, and it is nice to have someone like me in your life to explain like that part of our system here.
Yes,
because we are in it. Yes.
Yeah, we're
100% in it. Yes.
Yeah. The sooner you learn, the better. So the sooner you have a CPA in your life, the better.
Yes.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much for being on the show.
My
and
pleasure.
Everyone, if you've liked what you heard and you've seen, please like and share and subscribe and share this with anyone else that you might feel is interested. We are going to be sharing Jim's website in our show notes, so that if you're interested in signing up with Jim, you can. You're licensed in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Is that true?
Licensed. So I answer to the state of New Jersey, but that license enables me to practice anywhere. I just have to be, my physical location has to be in Jersey.
Well, look at that.
Yes,
Look at that.
I have clients all over the country.
All over the country. Everybody,
yes,
you hear that?
Yes.
Sorry for my European listeners, but unfortunately he can't do that. But I think that this would be a great opportunity for you guys to just click and learn and connect with Jim. Thank you so much for being on Career Review Mirror.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next time on Career Review Mirror.
Thanks, Joy.
Thank you so much for listening to Career View Mirror. If you got value from this episode, please consider leaving a rating and a review for the show on Apple Podcasts, or head on over to Spotify and click 5 stars for our show. We also have a YouTube channel with video versions of our episodes, so subscribe over there for more content. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next episode.